Getting ready for that bull market, are we? I know, friends. It's some crazy times that seem to always be happening. No one ever has a full answer, and it's always a 50-50 case. I know. Line go up, line go down. You tell me. You can make the case every single time that things can go down and things can go up. I promise you that. It's just that there's one constant. If you just refuse to sell, maybe something good happens. That's it. It's speculation, man. There is no guarantee. If it was a guarantee, it would be priced like the US bonds, where there's no edge. Look what everybody is saying on the YouTubes. So, firstly, let's read my comment. I say, crypto mainstream influencers be like, too many of you guys are bullish right now. We're going into a recession and Bitcoin's going to 44K. Now, shout out to all these people here. I'm not putting shade on anyone, but it's like, not good. Emergency. Bitcoin and crypto's in big trouble. Recession fears, Bitcoin and alts. Are we doomed? Doom. Crypto. Quiet quitting crisis. They're not quitting loud. They're quitting quietly. Yes, I am tweaking my nipples. As you understand by now, you're just looking at people's emotions. When things are up, they will always feel good. When things are down, they will always feel bad. Friends, imagine you support a football team and then they get destroyed. Let's say say a football team, soccer in some places of the world. Thank you very much. Let's say your team lost 4-0. And you go and poll everybody's emotions in the crowd. They lost 4-0. 4-0. Hey, you got a great team. They're like, get out of here, bro. They'll probably just get a bottle, just smash it over your head. You can't, man. Also, even if the team is like coming 7th in the league, it won't matter. If you win like 1-0 and let's say the striker scores in like the final minute of the match, people are going euphoric. That's how they sound like when they're euphoric. You can't get them to feel bad. You ever been in a crowd like that? No way. So you can actually ping them by price charts. Now, obviously, you know with these emotions, friends, it's up and down. It oscillates because you can't feel more happy than 10. You can't feel more sad than 0. Right. With markets, though, it's dynamic and it's chaotic. You have a rebasing denominator, which is the US dollar, the fiat currency, which is moving it up over time. So we can kind of use these cues to help us along the way. Where do you think this stands, though? Do you think this is closer to the euphoria or it's closer to the poop? The deep value poop? You tell me. Also, shout out to Mr. Sam Omar. You forgot the ultimate inverse indicator.
Since Bitcoin's existed, Bitcoin's outperformed everything. The country is proposing a strategic reserve where what if people like Peter don't understand this asset at all and are wrong? It actually
strategic for what? What do we need it for? I can understand a strategic petroleum reserve in case we run out of petroleum. How are we going to run out of Bitcoin? Nobody needs it.
See, friends, the same thing can be said about gold. Gold's industrial use is only about 10% of its market cap. 90% of gold has nothing to do with the industrial use. It's just people like it. That's it. Also interesting, I remember from that interview, shout out to Jack Mallers. It was interesting, commodities, friends, like they make a commodities index. You got like, palladiums and your oils and all the commodities in there. Their growth rate, it's the same as gold. So gold doesn't even have any extra monetary premium. It's priced as like a commodity. It just goes up. It's around 8% per year. That's like the 20-year compounding rate. Remember, houses are 5 to 10%, depending on where you live in the world. Gold is 8. Stock market is around 8. So you see all those numbers. And then what was Bitcoin? For the past 5 years, 44%. And by the way, that's low because it used to be 400%. So it went to 400%, then down to 75%, the next 5 years, now it's 44%. Altcoins are 55%. So think about that number. You're in the 40 to 50% marks, and they're still like arguing about 7 or 8%. So that's the growth rate. So you can look at the past and go, oh, everybody's been wrong for the past X amount of years. And sure, there's going to be 1 in 100-year event where everybody just gets it wrong eventually. But it's the same thing with gold, man. So obviously, friends, Peter is Uncle Peter Schiff is Austrian economics, so they believe that the ultimate and only true network effect is if you have an industrial use case, right? That's where he's coming from. They go, well, because if you don't have an industrial use case, eventually the final person will stop believing, and then it's up to chance. That's where he's coming from. Whereas with gold, right, because there's still a bit of use case, gold, metal and stuff, eventually, even if everybody stops believing, that's your rock bottom floor. You have a rock bottom floor. But as you get to see now in network effects, you see, well, what good is your rock bottom floor if it's 90% lower? Because that's what gold is. It's 90% lower. If everybody in the world stopped believing in gold, yeah, it's not 2,700 an ounce anymore. It's $270. Well, you lost 90% of your money anyway. You see the point? So you're all in anyway. That's why with Bitcoin, it's pure money. It's like, hey, screw this industrial part. If people stop believing we're going to zero regardless, let's optimize it to be perfect money. Beautiful, right? Shout out to Brian. A recession, I live in the US of A. I don't see a recession. Vote for Donald Trump. I took a bullet for democracy. See, friends, these memes, they're powerful, man. They ring true. See, when you see Donald Trump, his hair flying, I took a bullet for democracy. Don't judge these based off their merit, man. If you judge them based on the merit, you're like you're a university guy, you did gender studies and you're writing some essay and you got to get some marks for your assignment, okay? But I care about how impactful this is in the minds and the hearts of people. Not whether the impact is good or bad, just if it's impactful or not. That is when I described to you, for example, in PulseChain or anything else, friends, the size of the Megaphone. That's what it comes down to. Solana, their Megaphone has been powering on way harder than Ethereum. Ethereum's Megaphone, friends, it's not even a Megaphone. It's got a little cup with a string, and they're on Fartcaster. And they're just talking about decentralization, jerking themselves off. Vitalik has to come back out of panic mode, and he's trying to chill. So see what I mean? Everybody's in third cycle curse mentality. So what about Cardanzo? See, friends, Charles has a powerful megaphone. That's why Cardanzo did well in 2021. Now, I'm not saying, remember, Cardanzo is also a third cycle curse, but just think about the value, man. PulseChain is still 20x away from flipping Cardanzo ADA. They are still both strong cults, but one is much cheaper than the other. That's it. That's it. Doesn't mean one's better or worse. Doesn't matter, man. You're here to buy low, friends. You're here to buy low. Not you are the greatest thing and you aren't the greatest thing. Like, for example, if Tesla dropped 90%, just so you could buy, you wouldn't want to make a bet that Tesla outperforms the S&P 500 for the next 30 years. But you do know it's cheap. You're like, hey, man, you're cheap. You're cheap now. Figuring out when to sell later on. If you're trying to measure things based off how good or bad they are, you're never going to get anywhere, because then you take that slippery slope to trying to measure things, whether they're going to last the full test of time all the time. It's interesting to think about, but what we know from even the stock market, friends, companies are in there, they only got a shelf life of around 20 years now. It used to be like 50 years. It's been lowering because the technology is moving faster and faster and faster, and it's getting easier to copy paste stuff that works because we have the power of the internet and stuff out here, right? So the worlds are changing, and we've got to keep changing with it. I want you to look at this as well, friends, because often we think about big whales, and you're like, hey, big whales, Free Willy and Moby Dick and all these other things. And you see them in crypto, and you're like, well, you got a big position. You must be always right. Well, not necessarily. Right now, look at this. So the Bitcoin price, it went up. You see the green part went up and then down. Well, this guy got liquidated on his short. Someone was short. He got destroyed up here. He actually pushed the price up, and that's huge. Like, what is it, 1%? And then look what ends up happening here. What ends up happening is you have the open interest, so his position size goes down. He has to unwind all that position, and then look, it starts going back up again. You see this part starts going back up? That is him re-putting on the short. So basically, he's got a short, he gets hit, he has to smack it up and get out, and then he sits on it, and then they're like, wait a minute, the economy is still going in recession, Bitcoin's still going down to $40,000, American, of course. I'm going to get my short back on. And then just smack it back down. They're forcing their will on the market. Now, I hope a terrible, terrible death comes for people like this. But that's how people lose everything, friends. You go listen to Coin Fashions Rec, man. Friends, it's never It's never a story of, I consistently lost money for 5 years in a row and now I have nothing. It's not that story. It's, I made money, I had an account, and I lost discipline 1 or 2 times and I lost everything. That's always the story. It's never, well, I was losing over a 5-year period and I couldn't get, no. You eventually go into tilt. You know, if you're long-term holding, friends, the tilt works in your favor. You want to know how? The money printer, the button to push on the money and debase the currency, which is the fiat weapon, which is what the establishment has, the government. When they get into panic, they have to press that button. They go into tilt mode. They're like, just print more. They do that. And when they print, your supply of the denominator on your equation goes up. Okay? Which means your number is getting bigger. Because the value of that thing on that bottom was getting smaller. So, I mean, like, if you look at an example, right here, crypto, friends, let's say crypto is, because remember when you look at like crypto, so you have crypto, so you do just like crypto over, this is USD. That's the total market cap. What is it today, friends? It is 2 trillion. All right. So that's 2 trillion. So you can actually write, yeah. So crypto over the US dollar equals 2 trillion today. So now I'm going to ask you, what happens if, you see this number down here? Let's denominate it to 1. It's actually a 1. That's like a base of 1. What if they printed double the money supply? That value goes down to 0.5. So now you would be dividing, but not by 1 anymore. You're dividing by 0.5. So this number, friends, becomes 4 trillion. So you didn't even do anything. They just printed double the money supply. You go, okay, sweet. Crypto's now worth not 2 trillion anymore. It's worth 4 trillion. See? That's them going on tilt over time. Now, I've done the fast forward of the next couple of years in one second, but it takes time to do that. It just happens day by day, week by week. What do you think happens if they increase the money supply by 10x, friends? This 2 trillion becomes 20 trillion. Now, did we get 10 times more valuable? No. It's just that everybody else got 10 times more poorer holding the currency. You see that? So this is working in your favor over time. But look, eventually you have to do innovation, which we are doing, right? But people outside of the system, they're getting debased and they have to put their money somewhere. There's people with businesses, there's whales, there's institutions. They've got to throw their money currency out there. So they eventually pile into us. And because they can't see around the corner, they can't see the next crash when there's a top in here. They can't see the next crash around the corner. For example, in 2021, you couldn't see that things were going to collapse in 2022. Which is right here. So all those funds, for example, like up here, friends, Genesis gave a $6 million loan to Metaphor for the NFT CryptoPunks. So they could not see around the corner. They couldn't even see what's coming up. It's just that prices were high. They couldn't see that, oh, wow, I'm taking on leverage based off CryptoPunk JPEG NFTs. Is this the wise thing to do? No, it's just that the momentum was going and they're printing money and the money, that's it. They could not compute the stopping part. Well, we're in the opposite now. People can't compute the printing part. They can't compute it yet. We know it takes time because it moves in steps, right? The market starts pricing it in over time. But as it starts to happen, you get those big, powerful pumps, right? So that's what I want you to think about when you see comments like this. YouTube comments are calling for a $1,200 ETH. There will be no bull run without ETH. And sadly, we're looking like we're going to 1,200 before we bounce back. See that, friends? Also, shout out to Trevor. Sucks, but at 3K, everyone wished they bought $1,200 ETH. Second chance if you're into it. Yeah, man. How many chances are people going to get? So it's funny to think about. Just thinking about, man, like, are YouTube comment guys going to be the right ones again here? Do you remember, friend, I made one of my famous videos, the funniest thing ever? Some random dude, Paul Osmond. I never forget the guy's name. I don't know why, just a random YouTuber. Paul Osmond here, down here in the bottom, friends. Okay, I made made Twitter posts. So Paul Osmond, just a random guy, anonymous avatar. Shout out if you're out there, Paul. I think he bought Bitcoin at 40K or something. I forgot where he bought. He maybe bought 45K. And now it got down to 15 or 20. So he literally, I think he sold maybe at 15, 16. And he literally made a comment saying, I am 100% convinced we are going down. There's too much evidence from this point. I've sold my Bitcoin. I'm going to rebuy it back at 8 grand. So he's going to make back what he lost. You know, so make it, so buys at 40, sells at 20. So he's like, okay, now if I rebuy back, I'm losing. So I'm going to buy back my thing. It didn't go from 15 to 8. It didn't go to Richard Hart's 10K mark. It went from 15 to 65. You see that? That's what happened, right? So no, look what ends up happening. Bang, 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 bang. Look how it looks like, friends. And we lived it every single day, but look what ends up looking like. Whee! You see that? And now, those types of people now, you got like a random anonymous guy saying Ethereum's going at 1,200 American dollars. What do you think comes next? Make sure you like, subscribe, bell button, or catch you in the next one.